up there.
Okay.
But you know, well, you know, it's a 5/8, and you know, to do that. But the thing I see is there's a little gap here,
Right.
which it helps keep it dry, because you see actually the capillary action.
Right.
And it touches and it drinks and it stays wet too long.
Mm-hmm.
It molds. Let's see, this guy is, well, you see that under, he's got at least an inch or so between the bottom of the board and the ground.
That's it.
And yeah,
It'll be really wet out there.
yeah, well, you know, that's what happens. It's a condition of a rain. But let's see, take a peek here. It's a firm fence, which is good. And if I can get, yeah, at least that board's not quite into the ground.
So you would recommend a sealer on
Yeah,
that?
a sealer.
Okay, and then would it be cleaned first and then sealed?
Well, if I'm going to do it, we're going to pressure clean it with light pressure. And I'm going to apply a sodium hypochlorite solution, which is a really fancy word for bleach.
We did that last year, basically, with that cleaner in.
We will dilute it, we'll wet it, we'll spray it, and let it sit for a reasonable amount of time. Basically, you're killing microbes. And let it dry to the point where my moisture meter says 15% or less. And then we will apply the color of your choice.
And that will extend the life of my fence.
Dramatically.
Okay, if I do this side, is that going to mess up his side over there? Or do I have to do both sides of the fence? Because that's my fence, but I don't want, I don't want, you know, the paint, and the same here. I don't want to pay for my neighbor's side, but I don't want it going through either, or I don't want them to see through. How do you normally do that? Do you normally do both sides?
Normally, because the fence belongs to A or B.
Right.
And it looks like that fence is, that side's his and this side is yours.
Okay, well, no, this is my, well,
Yeah.
We don't know.
they put it up after we moved in because they put these in and
Yeah,
then they put the fence up. So the fence belongs to us.
The unfortunate truth about the sealer is it's a very low density product, and when you load your brush, take it off on the side, which you usually don't do because you know you're trying to finish your job. But if you run it off the side of the can, then you can do one side. And being low density, there's a dramatic increase in the spatter effect. And I would say that even the most cautious craftsman, taking their time of that's touching the top of that thing, and the probability that you get something that way is exceedingly great.
Okay.
So
Since it's my fence and I would have to replace it if something happened, it would probably be to my benefit to do both sides.
no question.
Yeah.
I mean, if I should be able to stand on the opposite side of that fence and still be on your property line
Right.
for 12 inches
Right.
or something. And obviously it'd be very courteous to talk to the neighbor and say, would you pretty please allow me to, and then I'd do something a whole lot more aggressive, like you know, put up tents and barriers, and I would spray, which allows the application of products in a lot more density, and then brush it in.
And how much more life would I get out of my fence if I do that versus if I leave it the way it is?
If I built it, I'd give you a lifetime warranty on it.
But you didn't build it.
But that's what I would feel comfortable doing with the application of the sealer.
Okay. So we might just look at that right now, doing restaining the deck and cleaning the deck and staining the fence.
Yeah.
And then maybe next spring.
One of the questions that usually comes out about this time when you're talking about capital expenditures is how long do you going to live here, and how much do you like your house? Because you might be on the, gosh, you know, let me get this last 3 years at IBM so we can get down to the beach kind of thing. And then if that's the case, I would say, no, please don't do this. It'll sell. This is a nice house in a great place.
Right.
Don't put the money in it. And if you're going to say, you know, we kind of like it here, we might be on the 10, 15 year plan, then I would say take good care of it. And if you let me seal it, it will.
Man, that's a great question. If I had to answer that question, I could answer a lot of things.
Yeah.
One day we say, you know, he's probably going to work another 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's where I am or not, who knows?
What do you do for a living?
I work for a company called Telehealth Services. What we do is we put patient education and TVs and things in hospitals.
Oh my
so we're in
God.
healthcare.
But he used to work for Sprint for 35
I worked for Sprint
years.
for 30 years.
Oh wow.
I retired from Sprint. Well,
Yeah.
Got help retiring from Sprint, and came to Raleigh and work. I have the project managers to do the installs all over the country. So I got like 400 open jobs. Sometimes it's 5 TVs. Sometimes it's 700 TVs. But
Sure.
We love it here, but he hates his job.
yeah,
so
the job.
that's
It's just I've gone back 15 years from a management perspective. It's a smaller company with a single guy that kind of makes every decision, and he's a negative guy by nature. So
Sure, it's
if
hard.
you don't mind working in a place where nothing's ever good, you're never right, and everything's always your fault no matter what.
Yeah.
If you can deal with that, then it's a good company to work for.
Well, yeah.
So how many more years do you think we, you know?
Well, I'm going to work somewhere, Susan, for
Yeah.
six, 7 more years. It's just a question of, if I go out to the Triangle or someplace, I don't want to make that drive every day, so I want to move out there someplace. So
But the odds are you're probably going to stay right where you're at.
probably going to stay in this house
Yeah.
for 6 or 7 years anyway. Then we'll decide whether or not we can afford to retire in this kind of community, or do we need to go out of town more. I wouldn't mind retiring on the golf course someplace, but can't afford Wakefield and places around here, so got to go out of town a little bit and retire.
There are alternatives that are very attractive. That's not high dollar.
When you say alternatives, you mean alternatives to what?
Wakefield and things like that. And very, very nice courses. You don't have to be in Wakefield to have a good time when you.
I'll never forget. I was in Florida. I was a member
from Florida.
of the golf